What is up, guys? It is Simba here and welcome back to the channel for yet another League Racing video. And today it is a new tournament on the channel called CSS, Competitive Speed Series, and on screen is the point system. You get 35 points for a win, and you score points all the way down to P15, so it's a bit different compared to WR and AEC. And on screen here are the times I'm streaming these races. At least 3 League Racing streams a week, with CSS being every Monday at 8 PM. But yeah, bit of a waffle out of the way. Let's get into the qualifying session, and this is the 5th round of the season. The 4 races that I have been involved with have not gone very well. We are yet to score a top 10 finish in this tournament, and I hope the team qualify for the tournament as well. So it's not been a great start to the season here, and obviously if you've seen the more recent streams on the Twitch channel, they've not been going very well. So this race was done 2 weeks ago, nearly 2 weeks ago. So yeah, just filling up a space really, because the last few races have not been very good, as you know, we've been kind of struggling for form and confidence as well with racing. So enough waffle out of the way. Here we are on a lap around Silverstone, going through the famous Cops Corner, flat out in 8th gear. On last year's game, you pretty much couldn't go flat out through there, but it's great to see that you can go flat out. And as we go flat out through Maggots and through Beckett's and through Chapel, I don't know why I forgot that, as we do on 1.9 in the middle sector. So it's not a bad lap to start the session, and in this tournament, tows are allowed. So yeah, you'll see some people, you know, giving each other slipstream to gain an extra 2, maybe even 3 tenths of a second, and that could be crucial towards the end of the session. But we're closing up the lap now, coming towards the line. It's a 25.1, and that puts us into the top 10 for the time being. So not a bad start to the session at all, and that gives us a solid baseline to work on in the second lap. But as you can see, we were a bit hesitant going into turn 3, not quite getting the turn in as accurately as we did on the previous lap, and as a result, we are pretty much 3/4 of a tenth down in the first sector. It's a high 0.1 as well. Ideally, you want to be a bit lower than that, maybe a low 1, maybe even a 0 in the first sector if you want to be really competitive. On the exit of Luffield, we gain a bit of time on the exit, a bit braver on the traction and the throttle, and we're going to get a teammate, a tow from my teammate Patrick Lager. But unfortunately, I get this a bit wrong. I follow his line through, and we invalidate.
Fucking hell.
That's too late, man.
And yeah, I wasn't very happy with him because I think it was a bit too late giving the tow, and that didn't really help my line through cops there. But yeah, no excuse. We're down in P13, and this is going to be the last set of runs for the session. You can see I'm going slowly through Luffield because we're going to return the favour to our teammate on the exit of Luffield, down the straight towards the old turn 1. The Haas moves out of the way, and we're giving Patrick a pretty nice tow going into cops. I'm not really a fan of doing this because, you know, I don't really know how to do them, and getting them wrong is really bad. So we let Patrick through, but we found ourselves in a bit of a pickle. You can see there's 20 seconds of the session remaining.
God damn it. Fucking FRT BMX.
And we've got a bit of a time crunch to get to the line. Patrick has had his lap ruined by BXM, blocking him in the final chicane. We come out of the final chicane, and across the line we go.
I don't believe it. I've missed the line.
I've missed the line. I've missed the line. Like, I don't believe, even seeing this nearly 2 weeks later, it's so frustrating. We were 1 second away from actually starting a lap, but it's P14. And it's very frustrating because with a tow and, you know, the first sector being a bit better, I genuinely think we could have got a top 10. And I felt like it was a massive, massive missed opportunity. And we're just going to have to do the best we can in the race. So here we go. Into the race we go. Starting 14th on the grid. Patrick didn't do a great qualifying either. So, you know, we're really in a rough position to start this race. So we're going to need a big lap 1. Like the last video. So here we go. 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix in CSS, and the lights are out. And we are underway for my home race in Silverstone. And the start is not too bad. We don't really make any sort of inroads, but we do now as Meatball goes really wide at turn 1. And going into turn 3, I'm going to try and be a bit aggressive on the outside, but we just go a little bit too deep into the corner, and that allows the Aston Martin to get back through. We stick it up the inside, and we manage to retain P13. So we've managed to gain 1 place, and we can hopefully go from there. And maybe there could be a bit of carnage ahead, as there's a lot of fighting going on. Nearly 3 wide going into Brooklyn. It's nearly 4 wide. 4 cars fighting right in front of us for the same piece of tarmac. This is exactly what you'd come to expect on the first lap on a grid like this, as it was actually pretty competitive, because this tournament, you know, some teams don't take it exactly as seriously as they do for AEC, for example. So to see a very competitive grid, you know, a great result for us would go a long way for our confidence as well. But the first lap, pretty decent. We've managed to gain 1 place, and we're going to see if we can settle down into a rhythm and just see what the cars do around us, and we can we can just basically choose a strategy around that as well, and put ourselves in a good position to fight for a top 10, as that is the goal for these races. So going into Stowe for the first time, and you can see I was asking Qui if there's anyone with damage, as everyone was really going for it, and unfortunately someone is going to lose out. That is M Racer for Team Shizou in the Red Bull, spun round at the final chicane, and you can see NVR Shizou Ogwin, sorry, I don't know why I was struggling. He's side by side with the Alpha Tauri, and he's just lost out to him. He's going to try up the inside, going into turn 3. There's a bit of contact, and we hesitate to go for the move. We get a hit from behind from Meatball, and yeah, not ideal. I think I kind of turned in on him there, and you can hear me say, I don't know what he was doing there, but yeah, poor move from me, really. Just not being aggressive enough at the start of the race. But we are up to P12, thanks to the misfortune of the sister Red Bull. So this is how the race is going to be. And I say that because it's essentially a DRS train here at Silverstone. We skip all the way to lap 13, because what I've been doing this whole time is staring at the rear wing of Shizou's newest driver. So we're just sat behind him in the DRS train. You can see we're looking pretty good on the battery. We're up into P6, as many cars around us boxed early for an undercut. The undercut is pretty powerful around Silverstone, so we were fighting Finn Bob and Meatball as well. They're in the Aston Martins for this race, for this tournament as well. And we're going to see where we come out in comparison for them. As meanwhile, Ogwin looks for a double overtake on Drobble and another car in front. But then Finn Bob actually dives into the pit. And crucially, we're going to follow him in. We're going to try and undercut these two guys and see what happens. And we're also going to respond to some other cars behind us who are looking to undercut us as well. So, decent start to the race. You know, the pace felt pretty solid on the hard tyres. It's usually the mediums that's a bit weaker because I don't really practice much on them. But we're going to go on them and see if we can use the small tyre advantage we've got to everyone else around us and see where we come out in this pit stop phase. Because if you saw the last race in Spain, we did try and gain track position this way, and unfortunately it didn't quite stick. We were fighting quite a lot, and, you know, we ended up losing a lot of time to FRT Sam, who was right in front of us for the majority of that first stint. You can see M Racer get out ahead, and you can see Milber going round the outside. We try and defend, but on cold tyres, it's impossible to do so. You can hear me just say, he got me there, and now, by the time we get to the end of the lap, there is quite a bit of fighting going on. You can see Milbo swapping cars, swapping places with Finn Bob, and M Racer trying to get involved as well. You can see the Red Bull is flashing, so he has less than 10% ERS. And I want you guys to pay attention to the amount of battery that we've got as well, because we've got nearly a full battery. So bear that in mind. We start lap 15. There was a bit of fighting between the 3 cars in front of us, but crucially, we do get that track position. We're going to try and pass Finn Bob round the outside. We can't quite get anything done there, and Ogwin senses his opportunity. He's just come out of the pit, and crucially, we stay ahead.
Well, we got ahead of Ogwin. Nice one. Let's go.
And you can hear me say, let's go, as we've managed to undercut the Red Bull, and we've got the other one to overtake, and he has got no battery to his name whatsoever. Qui was telling me that we've got an ERS advantage to M Racer and even Finn Bob in front of us. So it's a great opportunity to snatch a top 10. It's just right in front of us. We just need to pick out the moves cleanly and wisely at the right places at the right time, and we can find ourselves fighting for a little bit more than P10 in this race, maybe even P9 or even P8. which would be pretty good considering where we started. 14th is not a place you want to start in on a grid like this. It's hard to make progress. It's hard to make moves in a DRS train, especially around Silverstone, ironically, even though there are several overtaking opportunities. And speaking of overtaking opportunities, Finn Bob is going to go right past M-Racer, and he's up into P10. So it's up to us now to respond and pass the Red Bull. He's flashing. Quee was telling me that, and I was like, yes, I know that. And now we're going to try and attack. You can see how much battery we're using here. Down the straight, and up the inside we go. We're trying to stick our nose in, and M-Racer does give us the room and the respect, but there's a bit of contact.
What are these guys' wings? How is he still staying ahead like that? Fucking hell.
And he did give us the room and the respect there, but, you know, we didn't quite hang it right outside. And again, we're going to try it, cops. And again, we just don't quite get the momentum round the outside. And M-Racer stays ahead. And you can hear me just getting really frustrated because we've used over half our battery and we're still behind him. And he's flashing away. So clearly, our straight line speed is not great. And finally, we're going to pass him. Third time is the charm. But look at this. Ogwin gets through as well. We do the most Physicella-esque defending from Japan 2005. We are defending thin air and dust through Stowe. That presents Ogwin the opportunity to go around the outside. He'll turn it to the inside, and we've lost out.
No worries. I used all my battery just for gaining nothing.
And that was so frustrating because we essentially used at least 70% ERS to stay in the same place as we were before. As Ogwin passes us, I think I gave him a bit too much respect there. We kind of just let him through the second part. So yeah, just a lack of aggression really. And yeah, he sets the fastest lap as well. He makes his way past Finn Bob on the next lap as well. And I don't know what that is. That is... Oh my goodness. It's so frustrating watching this race back. I remember at the time I was just losing my composure, and this was the final nail in the coffin. We were on 2 warnings at the time, and the 2 warnings were really silly. The first one was just cutting turn 1, and I don't know what that was at Stowe, but either way, it's a 3-second penalty, which we'll have to deal with for the rest of the race. We skipped to lap 22, stuck in the train, which is frustrating because you can't pass. And we've got Sasha Andre in front of us. He's also got a penalty, and he's on older medium tyres. But here we go. We're going to try and pass him now. Going into Vale. He's all over the shop. He drifts through the first part. We get a nice switchback, and we're going to try and use the ERS again. But look, he just pulls ahead of us.
For fuck's sake. Oh my god. This is why I don't try and use battery, man. It's so fucking pointless.
And you can hear my frustration, and you can see we've got no battery because we've been trying to constantly use it to keep up on the straights. We're not great in a straight line, and the battery management has not been on point whatsoever. So now we're in trouble. You can see now, onto the end of lap 23, M-Racing realises that we're flashing. We don't have battery. He's going to try and go round the outside and send us even further down the field. And we try and defend, and we make a bit of contact with his front wing as it tags onto us. He goes down the inside.
Oh, wow. What? Phenomenal. What'd you get out of that?
And that is a very good way to sum up this race. It's so frustrating watching this back. We just lack the aggression and just to make moves. You know, it's so frustrating, and I think it's something I need to work on for the next race. Just picking moves when it matters and just using our advantages we had with the battery. We ended up dropping out just about, and everyone behaved in front of us. There's 5 cars ahead of us, so we could have been fighting for at least P8 today, and we're not going to get a top 10 once again. We got unlucky with some battles. We didn't really make the right decisions in some of them. The penalty was very silly. And at the end, it's P12 and game over. I slammed the car into the wall out of pure frustration. This race was so frustrating. It does say I finished 11th, but I think that's because someone retired in front of us. For context, Ogwin got 4th place on track, and he ended up getting that penalty removed. So he finishes 4th. I think that's the difference between, you know, he's been racing at a high level for a while. He's quite a way quicker than me. But yeah, he's just, the difference is he's able to make moves when it matters and be aggressive when needed. And we simply lack that aggression. And as a result, we didn't really make much progress from the pit stop phase. So it's a shame. You know, we were ahead of Meatball as well. So we could have been P8 in this race, but it's P12 and only 4 points to show for it. It's very frustrating. I think that kind of just sums up my frustrations with league racing at the moment. The results just aren't happening, and I am putting quite a bit of practice into these. So we're going to try and bounce back. The next one is going to be at Spain, so hopefully we have a repeat of AEC. I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.